Is Bitcoin getting ready to complete a death cross in the coming weeks, which could see the price of Bitcoin collapse by like a further 50, 60, 70%? Or are we going to avoid the death cross altogether, see the market recover in the not so distant future, bull market back on, baby? Or is the death cross even really anything to worry about? In this video, I'll break that down for you. I also have some big news from Tesla and some big miner news coming out of China as well. So make sure to stick around till the end of the video to get those news insights as well. My name's Lark. Every day I make videos talking about cryptocurrency investing. So if that's a topic that you would like to learn some more about, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, gently tap on the thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, and of course, click on the notification bell to know when I put out a new video. So let's go ahead and turn over to the charts. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in here. We did have a nice pump for Bitcoin today, a good strong green candle pushing us up, although we did run into this line of resistance here. You can see that we haven't had any daily candles closing above the $39,500 level for quite a while now, right? Ever since the main breakdown happened in late May, we haven't managed to close above it. Now, we have had wicks above that, wick above it here, wick above it here, even the tiniest little wick above it today, almost hitting $48,000 before seeing the price retrace. That, I think, right now is our line to beat. We really need to see Bitcoin closing above that to start talking about creating the kind of momentum that we need to see Bitcoin really coming and being able to challenge the 200-day moving average, the blue line on the chart here, as a line of resistance, conquering that, of course, then hopefully turning it into a nice line of support. I also want to share this too. So this is from Rect Capital. He said, whatever the short-term volatility, it's important it doesn't distract you from the higher time frame technicals. Bitcoin is still holding this weekly higher low as support. So look at this. Look at this. This is, of course, based off the candle closes, but zoom out sometimes. Sometimes it's really important just to see that big picture that's taking place right here, because that's a nice line of support that's holding up for Bitcoin. But of course, what everyone's talking about right now is the freaking death cross, the death cross. Da, 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 da. So that is, of course, where the 50-day moving average will cross under the 200-day moving average, spelling the end of everything. Well, not necessarily, of course. Now, there's a few things I really want to discuss with this because, one, it may not even happen. That's perhaps one of the most important takeaways for you to understand right away, is that we may not even get a death cross happening. What you could see over the next few days, especially if we can get Bitcoin in the next week or so to close above this green line, to close really above $40,000, ideally to take back the 200-day moving average, would be a situation kind of like this, where we see these lines coming very, very close to touching, but not actually completing. And then, of course, the price moving up in this direction. All the bulls coming back into the market, everyone getting very, very excited again. That would be a great scenario. You have to remember that a death cross, the lagging indicator anyway, so it shows that the market has already been in a bearish state. It just tends to be one of those situations where if we do get it, people tend to become even more bearish. We tend to get even more negative selling pressure coming into the market. Let's keep an eye out for this, obviously, to see if it does confirm at the current rate, the current curvature rate. We could see that happening sometime around the end of the month, approximately. But if the price of Bitcoin can start rising up a little bit, then we can fend off that death cross, and it's not going to happen. We could avoid this negative scenario for Bitcoin, which would obviously be a positive thing, right? We don't necessarily want to see the death cross coming to fruition, although keeping in mind for our Wyckoff accumulation pattern, we still do at some point need to see that spring coming in order to give us that push higher. Now, that could be around $28,000. That could be a very short couple of days in terms of movement before bouncing back very, very strongly. We may not get that happening at all, although with the entry of big money, the very clear Wyckoff distribution pattern that happened up here over the last few months, an accumulation pattern for the Wyckoff could indeed be playing out. That death cross might even give us the spring momentum to push the price higher, ironically. See, a lot of people think that the death cross signals that that's it, it's all over, market's finished, pack your bags, go home. Now, sometimes, of course, the death cross does indicate that the market is cooked, but the market's usually already cooked by the time we get a death cross. Now, let's go ahead and have a look back here and examine some history of death crosses in the market. First, I would like to point out this here. So this is 2016. You can see we had two very close calls where the 50-day moving average came down very, very close, and again, very, very close here to hitting the death cross, but it never confirmed. And it actually reversed, and the market got super bullish again, and everybody turned back into bulls, and like, yeah, super exciting times again. You do have to note, of course, though, that in neither of these situations was the price actually trading under the 200-day moving average, so it was actually a technically more bullish market at the time, so that is worth keeping in mind. Having the price under the 200-day moving average right now is far from ideal. Now, the big one in recent memory is what happened back in 2018. So you can see here is where the death cross happened in April 2018. Or I guess technically late March 2018. Anyway, on the day the death cross happened, you can see the market immediately reacted to this negative news. The price went down 20% in one day as everybody basically panicked and started selling their Bitcoin. The price did then sharply rebound, but was never able to again capture the 200-day moving average, which is obviously a very, very critical thing. The market structure was quite different here. We weren't actually working in the Wyckoff patterns as we are right now. We had a very obvious Wyckoff distribution pattern. We are forming up currently a pretty clear Wyckoff accumulation pattern. That does not mean that pattern cannot be broke. It just means that's what we are working with at the moment in terms of the market structure. Now, when this death cross had happened, you will see the price was already down by 59% from the all-time high. It's not so different from the current price breakdown. So really what you're seeing, again, that is a lagging indicator here for the markets, where we did have it basically being something that the market was already cooked. The parabolic top had already blown off, and we've already had the massive collapse of the market. In fact, even when the death cross happened, the price didn't go as low as the initial sell-off for the market. And in fact, a few days after the death cross happened, you saw the market recover quite substantially. The problem is the market never actually recovered. It just kind of kept relief rally, breakdown, relief rally, breakdown, until eventually we formed this giant descending triangle, basically, where the price just completely collapsed and we saw Bitcoin going down basically another 50% from the bottom of the initial sell-off, and basically being down 60% from the time the death cross happened until the final major sell-off in December 2018. Now, that is the situation a lot of people fear that we are in right now. I mean, you can definitely look and see, yeah, we did have this incredible run-up, just like we had right now, an incredible run-up. We had lots of time with very, very strong bullish momentum way above the 50-period moving average, way above the 200-period moving average, just like we had back in 2017. So a lot of people are saying, well, this is what we're looking at right now, where the market's going to completely collapse in on itself, and we're going to see another 50-60% come off the price of Bitcoin. However, not all death crosses react the same. The past does not dictate the future. It just gives us a point of reference for trying to understand how things actually work in these markets. So you can see here the 2019 market breakdown. We actually had the death cross happen when the price was down around 25%. Now, it's a bit of an anomaly, this particular one, because we had this massive pump actually the day before the death cross, which is pretty funny. The market actually pumped up by like 42% in the day before and the day of the death cross for Bitcoin. So it was kind of a funny situation, although the price did then go down 40% in the following week. So you can see we actually had basically 6 months straight of really bullish action for Bitcoin before the price actually rolled over and the markets started to collapse a little bit. But during this time, it didn't actually get as bearish as the 2018 rollover. The price actually only ever really went down 55%. Now, in early 2020, we did have the black swan, which was COVID, right? And the big COVID sell-off. We did have another bearish cross here. We can see actually here, by the time we got that bearish cross, the market was already very strongly into recovery. We had basically a V-shaped 50-day moving average playing out here. We went straight back into a bull market, essentially after this break of about 2 months here, where we had this really big, strong dip, all this negative price action, incredible fear in the markets, obviously. But we had a golden cross here, which signals generally a start of a bullish trend, only derailed, of course, by COVID. Had it not been for COVID, the bull market would have started earlier, but it essentially restarted 2 months later. So just all this helps you understand that not all death crosses are the same. This death cross has not confirmed yet. Even if it does confirm, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see the price drop by 50, 60%. We could see it briefly confirm, and then much like this scenario here, we could just have this death cross situation that lasts for a month, and then the price recovers, and we go back into the next phase of basically a mega bull market. And if we go back to look at even further back into history, I have to open up the Brave New Coin Bitcoin index for this. We can go back even further in history and get a perspective on what happened even longer ago. So let's go ahead and zoom back in here a little bit. So this is 2013. We can have a look here, and a lot of people are saying that the current market structure for Bitcoin is very, very similar to what we saw in 2013. So in 2013 here, you can see we had this massive, massive rally, much like we've had right now for Bitcoin. Then the price collapsed completely. We had about a 60-some% drawdown. The price got under the 50-day, under the 200-day, but it didn't actually confirm. You can see here just how close it actually got, but we never actually confirmed the death cross here. Now, there's a lot of people saying that we could be in a situation much like 2013, where we're basically having this sort of double bull run, so to speak, where we're going to avoid hitting this death cross, but we're going to see the price just ranging sideways for Bitcoin, potentially for months on end, before we pick up this new bullish momentum. Maybe that's the Bitcoin ETF being approved, for example. Maybe it's something else we haven't even thought about yet, but that's a potential scenario for you to think about as well. So I know this death cross scenario is quickly approaching, but just understand that the death cross in of itself doesn't necessitate that it's going to confirm. And if it does confirm, it doesn't mean that we are going to see a dramatic drop in the market of 50, 60, 70%. That could all basically just indicate the market was already cooked, the worst of it's over, and we could be seeing recovery in the near future. So we'll have to reevaluate our situation a bit when we do actually get that cross, if it confirms. I want to bring this up too. So we are currently in a year where the trend for Bitcoin is huge growth. You can see Bitcoin tends to operate where we have basically the end of the bear market. So the start of the bear market tends to be a 4 situation. The bottom year of a bear market tends to be 1. So not always the case, of course, but in the past few years has been the case. The first year of recovery is the 2, and then the year of exponential growth, marked by 3, that's the third year in the cycle here. Right now, Bitcoin is in the third year of the cycle. So what we are most likely seeing is a major correction, a major shakeout in this market, where the big institutional players, the big whales, they are shaking out all the people who bought at 50, 60,000, reaccumulating Bitcoin before they push the price up to $100,000 and beyond. Just something for you to think about. By the way, if you need to buy yourself some Bitcoin, go over to BINANCE. It's the best exchange for buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, loads of other cryptocurrencies like Cardano and Polkadot and Polygon. Use the link down below in the description. You'll get 10% off of your trading fees when signing up for BINANCE, as well as up to $700 in trading bonuses. Now let's talk about the news. So, Tesla may start accepting Bitcoin again soon. Come on, Elon. What are you doing, man? You're So bipolar, you're back and forth all over the place, man. What's going on? Now, he said Tesla only sold 10% of its holdings. This was in response to a Cointelegraph article. He said when there's confirmation of reasonable 50% or more clean energy usage by miners with positive future trend, Tesla will resume allowing Bitcoin transactions. This is really, really interesting because by most accounts, Bitcoin is already 75% renewable. Now, around 40% of that comes from 100% renewables, and the remaining percentages, that is coming from a renewable energy mix. So it may not be 100% renewables, but mostly renewables in that mix. So overall, the Bitcoin mining network is a highly, highly renewable network. And of course, we're trending more and more all the time towards seeing Bitcoin becoming even more and more renewable. We just had, for example, the big story about El Salvador and their volcano mining. We did have a story recently that Square and Jack Dorsey, they were backing a new solar-powered Bitcoin mining operation, etc., etc. So look, it's going to be not that long before Tesla starts accepting Bitcoin again for their cars. Not that it particularly matters, of course, because realistically, not that many people are probably going to pay for cars using Bitcoin. But I think the most important thing of it is social proofing for other companies, because they can say, look, Bitcoin, it's something that Tesla holds on their balance sheets. Bitcoin is something that Tesla accepts for their cars. There's something going on here. We as a company should also look into that. This is a very, very important thing. This is why MicroStrategy, leading the way in terms of social proofing Bitcoin, allowed others like Square and Tesla to also hop on board and buy Bitcoin. Them accepting Bitcoin, that's also very important. Even if not a lot of people are going to use Bitcoin to buy cars, I think the most important thing is that it's available in the first place. And more and more and more, Bitcoin is moving towards that green energy renewable narrative. Because yes, a quarter of Bitcoin is still mined using coal, and that's not good. Because even that 25% is still the size of a small country in terms of total energy usage, and of course the carbon footprint, very high, because the total Bitcoin network uses a substantial amount of energy, and even a quarter of that network is still a lot of energy, and it's a lot of coal being burnt to power Bitcoin, which is not a good thing. That's why it's good that we see volcano mining coming on. That's why it's good that we see all these new US mines, all the ones that have been built in Texas in the last 12 to 18 months, all run on renewables, mostly wind energy, also solar energy. So we're seeing a lot of this happening right now. And over the last few weeks, we've seen some really big news out of China. This is the latest in a continuation of that news. So China's Yunnan province has ordered Bitcoin miners to cease operating by the end of June. Now, this has also happened in the Xinjiang province, Inner Mongolia province. I can't remember the name of the third province that happened to as well. But now we have 4 provinces in China that have basically told Bitcoin miners, get out of town, man. The big reason that this is happening is a lot of these provinces, particularly the 3 in the north, are run on coal. So the government doesn't want Bitcoin being mined in China using coal. Up to this point, it seems that they're okay with Bitcoin being mined using renewables. They're okay for Bitcoin miners to operate in the Sichuan province and use hydroelectric power to mine their Bitcoin. They just don't want it happening using coal. So China, in a weird way, is cleaning up the Bitcoin industry domestically, which is going to help reduce a lot of the negative press that Bitcoin has been getting. So let's welcome that. Let's welcome the cleaning up of Bitcoin and it moving towards a more renewable future. And I think that's exactly where Bitcoin is going. It's where all energy use is going, to be honest. I think in a few years' time, everything is going to run on renewables. Just a question of getting there, which of course is why most of my stock investments are in electric vehicles and in renewable energy, because along with cryptocurrencies, which I'm obviously mega bullish on, renewables and electric vehicles is the future. It's going to be very, very big. Anyway, just my 2 Satoshis for the day. Your question, are you worried about the death cross for Bitcoin? Do you think it's going to be a big fat just meh, nothing burger? Or is this going to be the end of everything and Bitcoin's going to go down by another 75% and the bears shall reign supreme? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.